Nike didn't become a billion-dollar empire by selling shoes. It became powerful by selling emotion, identity, and ambition. Today, athletes, celebrities, and millions of normal people wear Nike products every single day. The logo is recognized almost everywhere on earth. But what's crazy is that this giant company started with one man selling shoes from the trunk of his car. And the founder almost quit multiple times. This is the story of how Nike took over the world. Back in the 1960s, a young man named Phil Knight had a simple idea. He believed Japanese running shoes could compete with expensive German brands dominating the market at the time. But there was one problem. He had almost no money. Instead of building a giant company immediately, Phil started small, very small. He imported running shoes from Japan and sold them directly to athletes at track events. Sometimes he would literally stand near races with boxes of shoes in his car, trying to convince runners to buy them. At the time, nobody thought this business would become successful. But Phil Knight understood something important. Great businesses don't start with huge factories. They start with solving a problem. Athletes wanted affordable, high-quality running shoes. That's exactly what he offered. In the beginning, the company wasn't even called Nike. It was called Blue Ribbon Sports. Phil Knight worked alongside his former track coach, Bill Bowerman, who was obsessed with improving athletic performance. And Bowerman had a crazy mindset. One morning, while eating breakfast, he looked at a waffle machine and suddenly got an idea. He thought the waffle pattern could create better grip on running shoes. So he actually poured rubber into a waffle iron to test the idea. Sounds insane, right? But that experiment led to one of Nike's first breakthrough shoe designs. That's one of the biggest reasons Nike became different from other brands. They weren't just selling products, they were constantly innovating. But even then, success didn't come easy. The company struggled with money for years. Banks didn't trust them. Competitors were bigger and more powerful. Sometimes the business was so close to collapsing that Phil Knight didn't know how he would pay employees. Most people would have quit, but Phil Knight kept taking risks. Then came the moment that changed everything forever. The company needed a new identity, a new name, and a new logo. That's when the name Nike was chosen, inspired by the Greek goddess of victory. And the famous swoosh logo? It was created by a design student for only $35. Today, that logo is worth billions. But the real genius of Nike wasn't just branding, it was psychology. Nike understood that people don't buy shoes only for comfort. They buy confidence, they buy status, they buy motivation. Nike advertisements didn't focus only on products, they focused on emotions. Their marketing made people feel powerful, ambitious, and unstoppable. And then came one of the smartest business moves in history. Nike partnered with athletes. Instead of simply running ads, they connected the brand to winners. The biggest example? Michael Jordan. At the time, Jordan was just a young basketball player entering the NBA. But Nike saw something special in him. They offered him a partnership and created the Air Jordan shoes. Nobody expected what happened next. The shoes exploded in popularity. People weren't just buying sneakers anymore. They were buying a lifestyle. That single partnership changed sports marketing forever and made Nike a global powerhouse. Soon, athletes everywhere wanted Nike deals. The brand became connected to greatness, winning, and ambition. And that emotional connection made the company unstoppable. Today, Nike is worth billions of dollars and dominates the sportswear industry around the world. But the craziest part? It all started with a guy selling shoes from his car and a coach experimenting with a waffle machine in a kitchen. That's the power of vision. Most people wait for perfect conditions before starting something big. But companies like Nike prove that success usually starts messy, risky, and uncertain. And maybe that's the biggest lesson from this story. The world's biggest brands aren't built by people who have the most resources. They're built by people who refuse to stop believing in crazy ideas.